No joke, this stew is magically delicious. I'm making a vegan Irish stew today that is so rich with layers of flavor from caramelized vegetables, packed with umami from seasonings and meatiness from mushrooms and soy curls. It has an incredible stout beer broth that gives it a hearty, earthy foundation, and it's slightly thickened with flour to provide a silky texture. And it's super easy to make. This soup is perfect for St. Patrick's Day, but to be honest, it's just as good all year long. I think this recipe is going to knock your socks off, so let's get cooking. We'll start by prepping our vegetables. For this stew, I'm using 1 medium onion. This is going to be diced medium fine. I'm also going to cut up some carrots, some celery, and a few red potatoes. Leave the skins on because they're packed with nutrition. I like my vegetables in this stew on the chunky side, but you can cut them to any size that you like. If you like them smaller, go ahead and cut them smaller. If you like them even bigger, you can cut them bigger. That's no problem. I'm also going to use about 3 cloves of chopped garlic. For part of the meat of the stew, we have about 2 cups of mushrooms, which has been cut into quarters. The other ingredients you're going to need for this stew are about 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. I have 1 cup of soy curl chunks. You can just leave them dry. I'm going to throw them in just like this, and they should soften and cook up just fine. I tried this method recently when making my kimchi stew. If you haven't seen that recipe video, you can find a link right up here or check the description box below. For the seasonings, I have tomato paste, 1 tablespoon of Maggi seasoning. I have about a teaspoon of dried thyme. If you're going to use fresh thyme, I would go ahead and use a little bit more. I have 1 large bay leaf and some black pepper to taste. It's about 1/2 to 1 teaspoon. For the liquid, I have 4 cups of vegetable broth, and I have a pint of the all-important Irish Stout. Now, Guinness is often used for this Irish stew because, well, it's Irish, duh. But I'm lucky to have a local brewery called Drumconrath Brewing. They are just fantastic. They have Irish roots and they make a great dark stout. They have this incredible stout on tap in their downtown Fargo brewpub, and I just picked up a growler of it to use in this stew. So if you're in my area, you should definitely check them out. I'll put more information about DCR down in the description box. Go ahead and give them some love. Otherwise, you could use Guinness in this recipe, but I would encourage you to check out your local breweries and patronize your local establishments because we need to shop local and support our local businesses. So that's my plug for local business. Go out, help them. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. Here I have a large Dutch oven cook pot over medium heat. I'm going to add some oil to that, and then the onions are going to go in with just a pinch of salt. I'm going to take a little bit of time to caramelize these. We want them to get some browning and become translucent. It might take up to 20 minutes or so, but please don't skimp on this step. I think it really adds to the depth of flavor in this stew. So if you have the time, it's worth it to let those onions slowly caramelize and develop the flavor. Now that the onions are where I want them to be, I'm going to add my carrots, celery, and mushrooms along with the minced garlic. These are going to sweat down in the pot for about 5 minutes or so. You want them to start to soften and then release some of their liquid. The next thing you want to do is stir in some tomato paste. You want to slightly fry that paste for a minute in the pot. I use this same technique for layering in depths of flavor in my mushroom ragu with pappardelle recipe. It's a great technique to increase the depth and complexity of your dish. If you want a thicker, silkier stew in the end, go ahead and add your flour now. This will make sort of a roux in the pot. Stir that in. You don't have to add flour. You can leave it out if you like your stews to be a little bit thinner, but I like a thick, silky texture of my stew, so I'm adding it in. Once that flour is cooked in for a couple of minutes, add your stout and give it a stir. Let this cook down for 2 or 3 minutes to let the alcohol evaporate off, and then add your vegetable stock. Finally, add in your potatoes and your soy curls, and if you don't have enough liquid that covers all the ingredients, you can add a bit more broth or some water to make sure that the level is up to where you need it. I like to add even more meaty umami flavor with Maggi seasoning sauce. This is a rich, concentrated, and salty sauce that's made from vegetable proteins. If you can't find it, you can get a similar result with soy sauce, liquid aminos, or even a bit of miso paste. In Ireland, the most common herbs that are used are generally parsley, rosemary, and thyme. And for this stew, I think the best herb to go with it would be thyme. I love the flavor of thyme in a rich stew, or actually in cooked bean dishes as well. I don't want to add too much because I want the other flavors of the ingredients to really shine here. But I am going to add about a teaspoon of thyme to this stew, and I'm also going to throw in 1 bay leaf. Finally, a little bit of black pepper. I'm going to cover this and let it simmer for about 20 minutes. This should be enough time for the potatoes and all the vegetables to soften and all those flavors to harmonize. If you want to cook it longer, you certainly can. Check it after 20 minutes, and if it's cooked enough for you, then it's ready to go. Okay, it's time to plate up. I'm gonna serve this rich, meaty vegan stew in a big bowl with a slice of my quick vegan Irish soda bread. This is a moist and delicious quick bread made from flour and oats that you can throw together really quickly. You can find the recipe for that in the link right up here. Super delicious and super easy. St. Patrick's Day or any time of the year, you need to get hooked up with this stew. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel, and make sure you check out my other recipe videos. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Greg, and I'll see you next time on The Pot Thickens. 1 tablespoon of Maggi. Maggi seasoning is so delicious because it has MSG. I love MSG.